do it. Okay. Assalamu Alaikum. In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, the all-wise, true and living God, who came in the person of Master FARD Muhammad, to whom praises are forever due. And in the name of his last and greatest apostle, our dear leader, teacher, and perfect guide, the great Elijah Muhammad, Assalamu Alaikum. Good morning, black people. I extend to you the greetings of peace. Peace is the most dominant idea in all of Islam. We as Muslims, we go to war for the sake of peace. We do not go to war for the sake of evil, but we go to war, as you can see in this board behind me, asks the question, which one will survive the war of Armageddon? My subject this morning is a very important one, and that is, this is a pre-Savior's Day, a Savior's Day, preview. I wanted to address something very short this morning before I get my day started. And what I wanted to address is the whereabouts of the God who came to deliver us and to raise up a messenger from among us. And that God is the supreme being, or the Son of Man, who was to come, and he has come, by the name of Master W.D. FARD Muhammad. And in our desire to be free, to become independent, we are faced with many challenges from both the disbelievers as well as those who say they believe. Of course, the hypocrites, they're going to always challenge. They at one time say they believed, and then they say they do not believe. So this war of Armageddon that we are faced with in this time of increased trouble, panic, anarchy, and mayhem. This is a great time to be living in, to be honest with you. And it's also a dreadful time to be witnessing. And it's great because we have the divine truth, but it's also dreadful because we have the truth and we get an opportunity to see those who reject the truth. So I'm going to cover something just very briefly. I promise you I'm not going to be long. The whereabouts of Master FARD Muhammad. You know, here at the Do For Self Academy and all of its components, the Temple of Islam, the University of Islam, our land project, our desire, you know, for a complete separation and freedom on some land that we can call our own. We are faced with many, many hurdles and challenges, especially from those who say they believe. When the subject of separation comes up, you know, more often than not, I'm questioned on the whereabouts of Master FARD Muhammad, because the Muslim people have resigned themselves to this thinking process that we have to wait, and we don't have power and force to become a free and independent force of nature. And this is nothing but a mystery God type of thinking. So we're going to look at the origin of such thinking and where does it come from. And I don't think a lot of the brothers and sisters do this out of an evil or out of a disbelief as much as I think they do it out of fear. Disbelief it manifests itself due to this fear. And this fear was put in us when we were mere babies. And now that we are grown men, we, and I'm not including myself in this we are still fearful today because we are eating the wrong food. And I'm talking about mental food. You are poisoning yourselves due to the wrong mental diet. So let's look at the teachings of Islam. It's taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to come out of this book, which is Message to the Black Man. And what he wrote is on page 8, at the bottom of the page, the origin of God as a spirit and not a man. It is written, take heed to yourselves that your hearts be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods, worship them. This is taken from Deuteronomy, the 11th Surah, Ayat 16. This is what the messenger wrote. The American so-called Negroes are gravely deceived by their slave masters' teaching of God and the true religion of God. They do not know that they are deceived and do earnestly believe they are taught right, regardless of how evil the white race may be. Not knowing self or anyone else, they are a prey in the hands of the white race, the world's archdeceivers, the real devils in person. He said, you are made to believe that you worship the true God, but you do not. God is unknown to you in that which the white race teaches you, a mystery God. I'm going to stop right there. This article was published in this book in 1965. And we can look at this right today and apply it to ourselves in the Black Muslim community. And it rings true even in our community. This is how far-reaching the white man's slavery religion of Christianity has gotten us. It is so deeply rooted in us that it's almost impossible to get it out of us. It is a disease of the worst kind. It's worse than cancer. It's worse than diabetes. It's worse than a heart attack. It's worse than any disease that you can imagine. This disease of worshiping the wrong God. But we were given a subscription and a cure for this disease, which is the knowledge, the true knowledge of God, whose proper name is Allah, and the devil, whose proper name is the white race. So we got two gods on the scene. The God of righteousness and the God of evil. The God of evil let's look at this, because I want to get to this point. He said the great archdeceivers, the white race, were taught by their father, Yakub. Pay attention to me good. 6,000 years ago, how to teach that God is a spirit spook and not a man. In the grafting of his people, the white race, Mr. Yakub taught his people to contend with us over the reality of God by asking us of the whereabouts of that first one, God, who created the heavens and the earth. And that, Yakub said, we cannot do. Now, brothers and sisters, friend and foe, I want you to apply this to this time period. So when you are asking the question, do I believe that Master FARD Muhammad is still alive and in power? You're coming out of the thinking of Yakub. You really are. You don't think you are. You're hiding behind your most sacred oaths, is what the Quran says. And you're not, I don't think you're doing it out of an evil as much as you're doing it out of a sickness. It is a disease that we have the cure for. And the messenger, Mr. Elijah Muhammad, from Master FARD Muhammad himself, gave us the remedy, the cure to solve this most damnable problem. And it's a great big old gargantuan tool chest with medicinal properties in it. And this medicinal properties is Islam. Islam, freedom, justice, and equality. Now, the idea of Master FARD Muhammad whereabouts, and you're contending with myself and a few others, you're actually doing the work of Yakub and his race of devils. Again, you don't even realize that that's what you're doing. And this question always comes up when the subject of separation is presented to you. So let's go on. This is what he said. He said, Mr. Yakub, I'm repeating this. Mr. Yakub taught his people to contend with us over the reality of God by asking us of the whereabouts of that first one, God, who created the heavens and the earth. And that, Yakub said, we cannot do. Now, he wrote in here us. He didn't write them. He didn't say Mr. Yakub taught his followers to contend with them. Those people during the time of Mr. Yakub, which is over 6,600 years ago. You have to pay attention to language. And right today, you're contending with us. But today, we have the knowledge of the reality that God is a man. Both Allah and the devil. They are two gods. And this is the great war of Armageddon. And Elijah Muhammad taught that the black man, in order for us to survive, we must separate. Without separation from the white man, you're going to remain strung up in slavery, suffering, and death, as this board clearly points out behind me. Well, we all know that there was a God in the beginning that created all these things, and we do know that he does not exist today. But we know again that from that God, the person of God continued until the day in his people, and today a supreme one, God, has appeared among us with the same infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change. He said he appeared with wisdom, infinite wisdom. He appeared with wisdom. It's his wisdom, brothers and sisters, not his person. And you can cross-reference this or go into Our Savior Has Arrived in an article titled Never Taught True Knowledge of God. In that particular article, the messenger speaks to how the devils exiled him and put him out of the country. He said, but they can't put out his wisdom, which is his real power is in his infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change. That's his power. So you don't have to ask, where is Master FARD Muhammad? Because the messenger said he didn't just come to tell us who he is. He came to tell us who we are. And to make us rulers, he said, over rulers. And to build a new world of our own. Never to be extinguished, never to be put out. We will become the universal rulers forever. I'm going to read this again. But we know again that from that God, the person of God, continued until the day in his people, and today a supreme one, God, has appeared among us with the same infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change. Wisdom. A supreme man, supreme being, Master FARD Muhammad, appeared among the black people in America with infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change. So when you're asking, is he alive and in power, you're going back to Yakub's teachings. You don't realize that that's what you're doing. The message said, this is he whom I preach and teach you to believe and obey. The devils call him a mystery God, but yet claims that he begat a son by Mary. They call on you and me to take the Son of Man of Mary for a God, who was a man before and after his death. Yet they denied the coming of God to be a man. If Jesus were a son of God, what about Moses and the other prophets? Were they not his sons, since they were his prophets? The belief in a God other than man, a spirit, Allah has taught me, goes back into the millions of years, long before Yakub, the father of the devils, because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. So this is the first time that it has ever been revealed, and we, the poor, rejected, and despised people, are blessed to be the first of all people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. So you're enamored with his person, and you're confusing his person with his wisdom. If this people, the white race, would teach you truth, which has been revealed to me, they will be hastening their own doom, for they were not created to teach us the truth, but rather to teach us falsehood, just contrary to the truth. I'm going to bring this to a close. I've got something I'm going to read from the Quran. And then we'll get started on my day, because I got some things I want to build. This from this book, the Quran, Surah 40, Surah 14, titled Abraham. Ayat 22. The section 4, truth is confirmed. And the devil will say when the matter is decided, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth, and I promise you, then failed you. And I had no authority over you except that I called you and you obeyed me. So blame me not, but blame yourselves. I cannot come to your help, nor can you come to my help. I deny you associating me with Allah before. Surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement. And those who believe and do good are made to enter gardens wherein rivers flow, abiding therein by their Lord's permission. Their greeting therein is peace. The subject of separation and to bring it about is the most essential intellectual platform that we as a people need today. Not just the registered Muslims, but also the non-registered Muslims. Because all Black people by nature are Muslims. By nature, we're Muslims. But 99% of us are unregistered. And even among the registered Muslims, we still have this issue. That's the trap or the poison of the white racist Christianity. So we have to go into the 43 and a half years of divine work of Elijah Muhammad and unpack his teachings, put them on a grid, and look at the cogent behavior and the mathematical, theological complexities of what he really taught. He just made it plain, but brothers and sisters, this new Islam is not plain. It is a mathematical formula, and you have to take the prescription, take the medicine in accordance with the instructions given. This is why you're sick. This is why you're diseased. Because you are eating the wrong food, you're taking the wrong medicine, and then a lot of times you're out of time, you're out of phase, you're out of reality. You are applying present, future with the past. And then sometimes you're applying the past with the present. You're mixing time periods up. You know, you have to apply these teachings in according with the time. Fundamental principles of Islam. So, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I, Allah, am the best knower. This book, there is no doubt in it, is a guide to those who keep their duty. And I will say to you, in this book, there's no doubt in it. And it is also a guide to those who keep their duty. The Quran goes on to read, who believe in the unseen and keep up prayer and spend out of what we have given them, and who believe in that which has been revealed to thee and that which was revealed before thee, and of the hereafter they are sure. Messenger Elijah Muhammad taught that the hereafter only means after the power and authority of the white race to rule. And that power and authority was removed on the coming of Master FARD Muhammad, because he brought an infinite wisdom to remove the falsehood. So Elijah Muhammad says, some of my followers are in the hereafter now. He said, if you don't know your student enrollment, you will never see the hereafter. When you look at the student enrollment, there are but two men on the planet. The original man, pardon me, and the colored man. Two. Now, if you don't know your student enrollment, you will not see the hereafter. He said, these are on a right course from their Lord, and these it is that are successful. And those who disbelieve, it being alike to them whether they have warned them or warned them not, they will not believe. So where I find this to be 100% true and accurate is on the subject of separation to build our own world. I find this 100% true. You disbelieving. So no matter what we tell you, how we tell you, when we tell you, you are never going to believe it. Because in your heart, you don't believe it in the first place. He said, those who disbelieve, it being alike to them, whether thou warn them or warn them not, they will not believe. Allah has sealed their hearts and hearing, and there is a covering on their eyes, and for them is a grievous chastisement. And there are some people who say, we believe in Allah and the last day, and they are not believers. So when you ask the question, you say, well, you do know that Master FARD Muhammad is still alive and in power. So what that is a false belief. Many of you do not realize that it is a false belief, but that's exactly what it is. And that's what this is saying. And there are some people who say we believe in Allah in the last day, and they are not believers. Now, when this book was revealed to Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah 1400 years ago, that wasn't the last day. The devil still had 1400 years to go. The last day comes at the end of the white racist rule. So the white race is going to, his rule going to be brought to an end. Then you got to go from student enrollment, question and answer number 2. Now you got to go up 1 to student enrollment, question and answer number 1. Because there aren't but 2 people on the planet, the colored man and the original man. And if the colored man's rule is coming to an end, then that means that the original man rule must come to a start. When you said that we cannot do this or that due to the devil's power, then that means that you are a total disbeliever in the truth, even though you claim to believe. I'm going to bring this to a close soon. They seek to deceive Allah and those who believe, and they deceive only themselves, and they perceive not. In their hearts is a disease, so Allah increased their disease, and for them is a painful chastisement. Why? Because they lie. And when it is said to them, make not mischief in the land, they say, we are but peacemakers. And you don't understand how to properly analyze and comprehend the truth in this day and time. So you're trying to work with people who bring a form of grafted teaching among the righteous people. And I experienced this a lot on a personal level. I do, in my pedagogical, manifestation, uh, both as a teacher as well as a student. Um, when I'm being taught a thing that I don't know, then I have to, put myself in the position of one who is learning. And that's very easy to do because we're students. And then there are times that I'm a 5% poor righteous teacher. But that reciprocation is not there because of the subject of separation. Last day, there are some people who say they believe in the last day, and they are not really believers. They seek to deceive Allah and those who believe. And then they come among us with this disbelief. They make mischief while claiming that they are peacemakers. Now, surely they are mischief makers, but they don't know it. They perceive not. And when it is said to them, believe as the people believe, they say, shall we believe as the fools believe? Now, surely they are fools, but they know not. And when they meet those who believe, they say, we believe. And when they are alone with their devils, they say, surely we are with you. We were only mocking. Now, we had a live event some years back. Brother has passed on now. I call him brother because he's a black man. He was a black man, but he was no real brother of mine. And this is a brother out of Chicago that, along with some others, they organized this movement called CROW, Coalition for the Remembrance of Elijah, I believe that's what it is. And he was in some type of politics, and he was brought before the board. And it's right there on YouTube for you to look at. And the devil asked him about separation. And he said, I don't want to separate from you. This is exactly what he said now. Now, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just telling you the truth. And there are a lot of you like that. You come among those who believe and say, we with you. Then you get among the devil and you said, nah, man, we just mocking. I don't really believe in separation. Allah will pay them back their mockery, and he leaves them alone in their inordinacy, blindly wandering on. These are they who by error for guidance, and their bargain brings no gain, nor are they guided. Well, I'm going to bring this to a close. Brothers and sisters, we are faced with the Trump wars. You can look at the book of Deuteronomy. I want to say chapter 32. Read that whole chapter 32. And it's really speaking to the rejection of Allah, the rejection of what Moses taught, which is Elijah Muhammad is the fulfillment of the prophetic biblical Moses. And in rejecting Elijah Muhammad, you start worshiping other gods. So Allah turns his back on us. And we have a slight chance of being able to survive the Trump wars. When I said Trump, I'm only using him because that's all the rage today. Trump is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. He's making manifestation of all of the evil that is taking place in this country, and how these politicians, they've gotten fat. I mean, filthy, wealthy, off of lying and deception. I mean, filthy rich. And America right now is in debt up to, you know, like I said previously, one politician in California, I believe, and this is probably about 15 years ago, maybe longer. He said America was in so much debt that if they stopped making debt and just focus on paying their current debt, that it would take almost 300 years for her to get out of debt. So what you see with Donald Trump, you know, with him slashing programs and so on and so forth, then this is a manifestation of what Elijah Muhammad told you. He told you in a live interview with Earth Cups and that, when he was talking about the subject of separation, he said that you will not, talking about the white America, continue to give in to black people's demands. He said, because if you continue to give in to black people's demands, you're going to lose your dignity among the nations of the earth. And that's what Trump looking at. He's looking at, okay, we're going to end up being a third world or second class country. We're not going to remain a power if we continue to start spending over all of this money and we have nothing coming in. So he's slashing programs. And to be honest with you, from a business standpoint, I don't blame that man. You know, and you may call him whatever name you want to call him. And I'm not into politics, so I'm not advocating for him or against him. I'm just saying that it makes sense, you know, that a person that you seem to believe is a maniac, you know, who has lost all his scruples, is carrying on the way he is. I don't see it that way. I see it as a man who's looking at a falling economy that's going to be subjected to other world powers on the planet. And he's there for that reason. But we all know that Babylon must fall, and he's here to bring it into fruition. And Elijah Muhammad said that if others oppose separation, death to them. And if we oppose it, it's death to us. So February 26th, it's about 10 days away, I believe, somewhere like that. And there will be many celebrations coming together to commemorate the birth of Master FARD Muhammad. You know, what you're doing is like celebrating Christmas, celebrating Thanksgiving, and Easter, and all of the other religious stupidity. You know, you're going to be going to conventions, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be staying in hotels, you're wasting a lot of damn money and resources. You still ain't got no damn land. So I'm going to leave this where I came in peace. I am waging war against the manifest disbelief and hypocrisy that the registered Muslims and the non-registered Muslims both are fighting the believers in truth. And you're not going to win. You're just going to be a loser. So I give praise and thanks to Master FARD Muhammad for his coming. And upon his coming, he brought some wisdom. And he deposited this wisdom in a bank. The greatest bank that ever existed in all banking institutions. And I don't mean a literal bank. I mean a safe place to secure resources. And that bank I'm speaking of is none other than Elijah Muhammad. If you believe that Elijah Muhammad didn't tell the truth, then you don't have a solution to the white man. And if you don't have a solution to the white man, then you're going to die, and your children are going to die, and we're all going to die. But you know, I'm here to fight for truth, and maybe those young people who are not even born yet that will come in the future, and they'll grab hold to it. And you know, we have a century, you know, at least 3 to 4 centuries of tackling this idea of removing this mystery God concept. So I leave as I came before you in the name of Allah, the all-wise, true, and living God, who came in the person of Master FARD Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest apostle, the great Elijah Muhammad, I leave as I came before you. Assalamu Alaikum.